Okay. Ha 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 ha. Okay, that's as loud as I can be. That's as loud as I can be. I can't be any louder than this. Don't yell too much. Ha 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 ha.
Don't yell too much, you might hurt yourself. Give a color red the blues. Tell them. That was wimpy. There it is. Scorsese would be proud.
Bum 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 bum.
Is that the intro? Is that our intro?
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, it's Wonday night football.
That would be fun day night football.
Fun day night
football. What are we doing today, John?
So, Jason, thanks for asking.
Those are our names.
Today we're gonna talk about our favoriteest, most bestest things that we consumed in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
So there it is.
It would
That's
be kind of like the best movies you saw, top 5 best movies, but like it could be anything that you consumed. Like,
yes.
Could be a game, board game, could be a video game, could be a food.
Oh yeah, board games.
Oh, you didn't even think. You didn't even think about board games?
I thought about Root.
Mr.
I
Board
didn't
Game
pick
Man.
it though. I was really excited to play Root.
Yeah.
And I thought that Root was pretty good, but it was not my top.
No. I didn't. Root, we only played it once, right?
I played it again after that. I've played it one more time.
Okay.
And it's good.
Yeah.
But I never won.
You know
so
what?
It's not that
something
good.
I think I wouldn't put it on my list, but something I know we've played for the first time this year is that train game that Dan has, where you have to rob the train.
That was this year, Train Heist?
I'm pretty sure, like probably earlier in the year.
That's a good board game.
That's a good board game.
That wasn't the first time you played it though, right?
You're right. It was the first time I played it correctly, though.
Oh, that counts then.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so we did a top 5 again.
Yeah, we did.
Wait, we did 3 last time. We did a top 5 for the first time ever.
This is a monumental moment.
Number 5.
Yeah, you want to go start with number 5?
No, I want you to start. I always start.
Okay.
I feel like I always start.
Yeah, you're right. I think I do, because I'm always like a, go.
Yeah, you're such a beta cuck that you always let me go first. Okay, go ahead.
All right. This podcast episode's about how to be a man.
Yeah.
No, it's so number 5, gumbo.
Oh my God, that's so good. I love that.
I'm starting with the food.
That's
First
great.
time ever I had gumbo. John made it.
I did make it.
And he was just like, would you like some? And I was like, what is it? And he's like, put it in your mouth. So I had some. Fantastic.
That's exactly correct.
Yeah, and now I buy Campbell's gumbo. Just to have.
Not as good as mine, though.
No, of course not.
Of course not.
No.
And my recipe, shout out to my buddy Abe, who gave me that recipe a few years ago.
Not a lot to say about a food, but it was a big experience, and especially because you made it, I figured I'd put it on the list.
I love that. I also put something that we made on the list, not to give too much away.
You and I
Yes.
made
Yeah, you'll see.
a food?
You'll see when we get there.
Oh, okay.
Wait.
Sorry. I'm
Have
sorry.
some patience.
Getting a little excited.
I'm excited too.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll do mine then. Oh, actually, I wanted to mention something about the gumbo. Is that I thought that you hated seafood. So I was surprised that you liked the gumbo, which had both shrimp and crab in it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that the shrimp and the crab were probably your least favorite parts of the gumbo.
The crab was. I like shrimp. The first time I ever had crab legs was at a friend's Christmas dinner, and I was like really struggling. And then one time I broke it, and a piece of it like went flying at the person across the table, and I was like, I'm done with this food. I almost shot her in the eye with a piece of shell. I'm not doing.
That's part of crab legs. If they served you crab legs, they should know that they're going to get hit in the eye with crab.
But it was just like, this is just anxious. It's just making me anxious. I'm not enjoying the food.
When I was growing up, we would go down to Florida, and there was this restaurant down there that
Red Lobster. I remember.
Nope. There was a restaurant down there that did all-you-can-eat crab legs. So like once a year, it was literally you just start cracking crabs for like an hour and a half, and it's a lot of work. And you get like barely any meat out of it. It's like is better because you worked for it. And everybody expects you to be hitting each other with crab.
The flavor, whatever it is that I'm eating, like the taste is just not that rewarding in itself. Like I wouldn't.
Did you dip it in butter?
Yeah, but like if I had to crack open those shells to dig out some pizza,
That's kind of a good idea. We should put pizza back into the crab legs once you've eaten the crab meat out of them.
Yeah.
Okay, my thing that we made since I already spoiled that.
Can I guess first? Okay.
You get one guess.
Mini burrito sundae.
That's it. Mini burrito sundae.
Yeah.
When we rewatched it again the other day, I forget why we rewatched it, but I was like, this has aged better than I thought it would. Like, I just, usually after like a couple months after putting out a video, it's like, oh, I kind of see the cracks in it. I wish that I had done this or that or whatever. And I'm like, I really like it. I wish that all of our videos could be mini burrito sundae.
Yeah, I felt the same way.
It's really good.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot.
And I was going to like at some point say, if I was picking a favorite of something that we made rather than consumed, but we do consume what we make.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, it's a great thing to have on the list. I love
it. It might be a little self-indulgent to say that this thing that we made is my favorite thing that I consumed, but I don't care because I really was so proud of it. And then rewatching it, I was like, yes,
that's the thing.
I'm enjoying this.
Is I would expect someone to more enjoy something they consume that they made. Like that's a proud moment. That's something that's part of the enjoyment of that thing. You know what I mean? You don't expect someone else to have seen it on YouTube and put it on their top 5 list.
Sure.
Who else is doing that?
No one.
But it means a lot more to us.
Of course. And I think it's a good sign that we're like making things that we would enjoy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Your number 4.
Number 4. Let me get my list. Number 4 is a YouTube thing.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
All right. I got to guess.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Is it something from Joel Haver?
Nope.
Wizards with Guns?
Nope.
Is it like a comedy thing, or is it like something like? Is it like a sketch or a show or a movie kind of a thing?
No.
Oh, okay. What is it?
It is Maggie Mae Fish's video on Joseph Campbell.
I literally, as soon as you said it is, I was like, I know what it is. It's the one that you and I rewatched together because you'd already seen it.
Yeah. I just think it was a really good video, like well put together video, really interesting, had a lot to say about Joseph Campbell that no one is talking about.
Yeah, do me a favor. Intro who Joseph Campbell is so we can talk about.
So Joseph Campbell is the guy who created like the hero's journey, and him and his concept is taught in basically every single writing class known to man. And it's what the Dan Harmon Story Circle is based on, and it kind of is taught as like every story can be put into this concept. And she did such a good video first kind of breaking down the hero's journey and the fact that not all stories do break down into that.
Yeah, kind of debunked it first.
First debunked just the theory. Right. And then was like, now that we've debunked that, let's talk about Joseph Campbell and how he's kind of a Nazi sympathizer. He's kind of the modern day Jordan Peterson.
Or Jordan Peterson is the modern day Joseph Campbell.
Or yeah. That's a better way to say it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. That was such a good video too. It's a two-parter.
Mm-hmm, two-parter. And then she also introduced alternatives to the hero's journey as well. And that was really cool. Talking about how like we're viewing this just through an Americanized lens, and like we tend to tell stories where the character is pushing this, like the main character is pushing the story forward, and then you have things in China and Japan where it's more like the story's happening to the character and they're just kind of moving through it, you know? And then she kind of talked about the heroine's journey and how that is a totally different like thing. Joseph Campbell taught writing classes, and there was this woman who was taking one of the classes and asked him during the class, like, what about the heroine's journey? Like what about the woman? And he's like, women don't have like the hero's journey. They are the prize at the end of the hero's journey to be won.
Crazy. And this is the guy that everybody's like, he's the story guy. You got to do it like he did.
Yeah. And so now she went and wrote the heroine's journey, and there's a book, and she did that. Like that.
Yeah, the girl that was in
that class, like went out and like was like, fuck this guy. I'm going to prove him wrong. And so
that's great.
What a good video.
My number 4.
Okay.
my number 4, and I'm going to do that. I'm doing these in the order that I watched them.
So I didn't think about that.
Yeah, Mini Burritos came out in February.
Sure did.
The next one was in May. It's a TV show. And is not new, but it was new to me.
A TV show new to you. Did you finish it?
Yes.
You watched the whole thing.
And I've watched it again since then.
You've watched
The whole show.
The whole show. Is there more than one episode of this show?
Yes.
Okay.
That would be a movie.
Not if it
It's
was
not
Look Well.
Not if it Look Well. Man, was Look Well this year?
I think it might have been, but we've talked about it a lot, so I didn't put it on my list for that reason as well.
Look Well's great.
Yeah. A show that you were... Did I introduce it to you?
You recommended it to me a lot. I watched it based on your recommendation, but it also had been recommended to me before.
So I did recommend it to you. So I had seen
you're
it
not
first.
original.
No, but I had seen it first.
Yeah, but it's not about you.
Was it The Good Place?
It was The Good Place.
It was this year you watched The Good Place. Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
the first time.
That's awesome.
And I watched it again since then.
That is awesome.
Because the first time I watched it, I binged it, not in the sense of like you binge a show. I binged it the way that you would binge like a whole sleeve of Oreos, like a whole package of Oreos. It was disgusting the way that I
You like 1
consumed
week
that
and you
show.
finished 4 seasons.
I finished it in 2 days.
4 seasons, 2 days.
I'm pretty sure.
Wow, that's
Like
good.
it was all I did for 2 days. It was awesome. And because I went through it so fast, like a few weeks later or like a few months later or whatever, I was like, I think I need to give that show like a little bit of a slower watch. Let me watch it again. And then I watched it in like 4 days. I just can't not binge it because it's so the story just is so fascinating and it
fully
takes you-
serialized.
It's fully serialized. So as you're watching, you want to know what happens next. And even if you already know, it's just so engaging. Like, I got to watch the next episode now.
Were you hooked by episode 1 like that? Or like what?
Yes.
Oh, that's so
Yeah.
cool. Very cool.
Yeah, there was no going back.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I love Mike Schur.
Everybody that's involved in that show, right?
Yeah.
Because Christian Bale is incredible.
Yeah.
The guy who plays Becker.
I like everyone. Adam Scott, though.
Yeah.
As soon as he showed up, that was it, really. Like,
Yeah, okay.
I was hooked from the pilot either way, but when he showed up, I was like, this guy.
Yeah.
This is great.
it
What
was
a great
like
character
that-
for Adam Scott to play.
Yeah. That character is just the epitome of what the show is bringing to the table in like the way his attitude is for what it represents. And
Like, there are so many things that you can do to be an actual evil person, but this guy's just like obnoxious.
yeah.
So showing the super evil guy really just being like a really annoying person is such a fun take on good and evil.
Yeah. I always think about the bit where he will, like, while he's eating, he'll put a piece of food in his mouth and he will not chew it. It'll come back out of his mouth.
Yes.
Oh, man.
That's fun.
That's so great. I'm so glad that made it to your list then.
I loved it so much.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, and it's such like a I don't know, like just the sets and the way it's filmed and everything it feels so supernatural in like it's so sanitized. Everything's so sanitized when you watch it, and I just think that that's such a fun way of looking at the afterlife of it. Like, it's kind of boring and like way too manufactured.
Perfect, yeah.
And that's such an interesting way to look at the afterlife.
Yeah.
It's great.
All right. Well, I'm going to go out of order a bit because I'm just going to how it relates to what you just said. I'm going to go with, this is my number, what is this?
3.
3? I did do 2 already? Yes. Okay,
You're not
3.
very good at going first. It throws everything off.
Very much so. All right. Number 3, BoJack Horseman.
Oh, yeah, of course. Of course.
BoJack Horseman.
Of course, when you watch a show about a horse.
Yep. That is right up there with The Good Place for me in shows that are so goddamn funny and mean a lot to me in a deeper sense.
Yeah, the writing on The Good Place and BoJack both address very interesting and thought-provoking topics, and they do not sacrifice comedy,
No.
which is really hard to do.
Uh-huh. And they both make you look inward about being a good person. They both are about being a good person. And
That's true.
And I just think, and BoJack really, really was a show that I knew I had to watch. And I wasn't not watching it because I didn't want to watch it. I was not watching because I didn't know if I was ready. I just knew it was like deep. And I never knew how or why it was that way. And boy, it caught me off guard. Even knowing that, it caught me off guard.
Yeah, it has a reputation.
Yeah, I binged that show. I tried to space it out. And then by the time I finished season 2, I was like, there's no stopping this train. I have to just finish this. I have to see it all right now. And so
that's one of my all-time favorite shows.
Yeah.
So I was glad to watch at least parts of it with you, because I watched a little bit of it with you.
Yeah. We would have watched more, but it was the holiday had happened and stuff like that. And so I just like I finished the whole show on Christmas Eve. And boy, oh boy, it's so good. I don't know. There's not a lot you can say about a show like that or like The Good Place, because you want people to go in fully not knowing anything, I think.
Yeah. Well, that's how I view everything.
But there's some things where you can, for the average person that's not that spoiler worried, you can like kind of give them like a, I don't know, just a little piece that'll make them want to watch it. And it's almost like, I want you to go in expecting to not be ready for it or whatever.
Right. And for me, I don't ever want to watch a show and be like, oh, I wish I didn't know so much about it going in. I never want to risk that, because I just would rather treat every show as if it would be a spoiler to watch.
Yeah.
Or like to know something going in.
Yeah.
What was your favorite episode of BoJack?
My favorite episode of BoJack Horseman. There's so many.
You don't have to know. I was just wondering if...
I mean, if you're okay with me taking a second, I love
That's
this
fine.
question.
Okay, yeah.
Because the problem is there's so many good ones.
Yeah,
that it's
I hate
like
that. It's a terrible show.
like
Too many good episodes.
Too many just like truly like, I remember this one very specifically. Might be the underwater one.
Yeah, Fish Out of Water.
Fish Out of Water.
That is not one of my favorite episodes. I found it really weird in universe for there to be this weird a whole underwater city at first, but then I got over that. But at first I was like, what? This has been here the whole time? This raises so many questions. But then I thought like that actually is really cool world building.
Yeah. And it comes back, and you see like, you see fish with water, like kind of like a...
Yeah, you see like sardines in a car, and the car is filled with water.
Yeah. The amount of sardines packed in different places in that episode is great. And I just love that it's like, it's very Hush reminiscent with Buffy, and the music's awesome in that one. And I don't know, just really good episode.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
And it's not even like, it's not like it's one of the more meaningful, well, it kind of is, but...
There's a lot of meaning. It's just gimmicky. It's a gimmick,
and
right? Like you couldn't do every episode like that. You have to do one.
Yeah.
And they did it right.
Yeah.
They did it well.
I think it was the episode where he goes and visits Herb Kazaz that I was like, I'm hooked now. Fully hooked.
That's the first episode that really digs into something like, not that the others don't have serious topics, but that's like the first time where they're like, we're gonna still have comedy, but there's gonna be some stuff in here that is not a joke.
Yeah.
Like there's really,
And thinking back on it, like I have to watch the show in a whole again, but thinking back on it, I feel like sometimes I can remember episodes that didn't have jokes in them. I know that's not true, but like I remember a full episode is like not a funny episode. I just remember it as, well, you know what? The eulogy one almost doesn't have a joke. I mean, it does,
yeah,
but
there are jokes, but they're not. Yeah, I mean,
because the whole undertone of the episode is already a little off. The jokes don't come, like, they're uncomfortable.
Yes, that's what it is that every joke is either BoJack is trying to make a joke and it plays as a little bit funny because it's like, oh, that was uncomfortable that you made this crass joke at a funeral.
Yeah.
And then there's other bits with like the guy who does the music. It's like doing goofy stuff where he like won't do a rim shot at the right time. So they do keep the comedy alive. throughout it, but no, it's nowhere near as funny as some of the other episodes. But it is surprisingly engaging. It's another gimmicky episode, but it's surprisingly engaging the whole time.
Yeah, great show. I probably have already said too much, right? So
no, that's okay. This is great. I prompted it with the question of what your favorite episode was. Number 3 for me. That bit's gonna get old.
Nope, not yet.
You're right. Number 3
for me.
This one is a video game.
Ooh.
And it is a video game on a platform that I hate.
On a platform that you hate. The Wii U?
No. I think the Wii U is underrated. I don't hate it. It's not good, but it's underrated. It gets more flack than it deserves. It's VR. It's a VR game.
Oh.
And I think most VR games are terrible.
Okay.
But I was playing a lot of VR games at a certain point this year.
Yeah.
And I was given the opportunity to play what is now my favorite VR game. And I'm so glad that I played this game. It is a puzzle game in VR that is a game that only works in VR. And it is kind of like, not only is it a puzzle game that is done well, but it does all the things I like in puzzle games. So you just played Myst. You just finished Myst yesterday, which is great.
Which would have been on the list. First, I was like just thinking recently. And I was like, no, that doesn't count.
That was this year.
It don't count.
Right. But this game, I could be wrong on this, but I believe that Cyan Worlds, which is the company that made Myst, helped publish this game. So I think, I could be wrong, but I think that they had a hand in it. But either way, this game is called The Last Clockwinder. And it's a game where you, in VR, have like 2 seconds to kind of record your movements. So whatever movements you're doing, it will remember what you did and then loop it. So you'll like pick up an apple and then bring it over to the side over here and let it go. And then you go over there and then you hold out your hand and then the clone of you goes and picks up an apple and drops it off and picks up and it'll do that forever. So now you have a clone of you that's just picking up and dropping off an apple. Then you go over here and you make another clone that picks up the apple from the other clone and like attaches it to a thing. And it's like a factory game.
Oh yeah, that's right up your alley.
You use clones of your own physical movements to like assemble parts.
That's just slavery with extra steps.
Yeah, it's clone slaves. And with the like it for such a simple kind of concept, it's done really well. And there's a lot of story built in, and it's not super difficult. And you can just use as many clones as you want. So you can make it as easy on yourself as you want, or you can make it really hard on yourself and try to do as few clones as you want, and where you're like tossing stuff from the other side of the room from one clone to another. And you can do a lot of like complex, fun interactions.
Gives you a lot of
like
experimental.
And I had fun. The Last Clockwinder.
The Last Clockwinder.
Yeah, if you have any access to VR, it's literally the only VR game that I would recommend. That and maybe Space Pirate Trainer. But when it comes to VR games, Super Hot is good. I would say that Super Hot VR is another good VR game, but if you're gonna have to choose one, I would still pick Super Hot on like a regular platform.
Wait,
different game. It's a different game.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, the VR version is a different game that uses basically the same mechanics. Like they're different levels because they're built from the ground up.
But you're
for
not
VR.
Any other system. You're not moving around and doing it, right?
Right.
Yeah, that sounds awful.
For Super Hot?
Yeah.
No, it's really good.
Nah, you're wrong.
It's a first-person shooter. Don't know. You're right. It's a first-person shooter. It's the most innovative first-person shooter I've ever played.
Oh shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
All right. Little secret? Are you lying to me or not?
So I really liked Super Hot VR, but the regular Super Hot is still a better game because VR sucks.
Ooh.
And the reason VR sucks is because we haven't figured out really how to do it right yet. And there's a lot of people who are doing it right, but like the standards for VR are very all over the place. I haven't played Half-Life Alyx, to be fair. That's one that people say was done right. But I get motion sick in VR if I am moving around any other method other than teleporting.
I don't think you've ever told me about that game before. I want to play that.
Yeah, I played through it right when it came out. I just like beat it in like 2 days, just played tons of it. And VR is hard on the body. You can't just binge VR. You can't play like 12 hours straight of VR. It hurts. So I did like 6 hours a day for like a couple days and beat it.
Damn. That's awesome.
Great.
Number 2.
Yeah, number 2.
Number 2, my lord.
I'm your lord.
It's true. It's a TV show. Another TV show that I've seen.
Okay.
The newest season came out this year, but I had never seen the show before, so I watched the whole thing this year. Mike and Dan suggested it to me.
It's not Umbrella Academy, is it?
No,
You've seen that before.
No, yeah, I watched that. You haven't watched it? Well,
okay.
You've watched one episode.
The Boys.
The Boys, yeah.
I was thinking about that yesterday. I'm going to start The Boys soon.
Oh, yeah?
No, now not anymore.
Not anymore because I was excited about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a really great show, you know, especially for someone, or I guess for society right now, but especially like I'm just so superheroed out. And so I just didn't want to touch that show with a 10-foot pole for a while. And I'm having a hard time watching Marvel movies, even the ones I'm excited about. You know, it's just
after watching The Boys, or
no, before I was just like I know how this
The Boys is great. It ruined Marvel movies.
No, yeah, it didn't ruin Marvel movies. I was just like not excited to see them anymore. I was like, I know what this movie's gonna be. Like every Marvel movie you can predict most of, and so I was like, I don't know if I can skip this one. I don't need to see this one.
Yeah, every Marvel movie's the same. I like that movie though.
Yeah,
so for me, I'm like,
I did though.
Give me more.
You know what I mean? I think I'm just like, I'm all just burnt out. Like, you know, maybe like if in 3 years, if I have never seen a Marvel movie in 3 years, then I'll be like, I'm ready for it again, you know? But then watching The Boys just really came at a perfect time for superheroes and came at a perfect time for just like being angry at society. You know what I mean?
I love getting angry at society.
Yeah.
I'm angry at society right now.
Yeah, currently. Yeah, exactly.
All the time.
Yeah. And so it's like such a interesting anti-cop show, you know? So yeah, it's a fun show. That's all I guess I can say about that.
Cool.
Yeah, because you don't know. I don't want to spoil anything for you.
Yeah, you're not allowed.
Yeah.
To talk
anymore. Okay, you're number 2.
Number two for me is a song. But the only reason that I love this song so much is because of a show.
Good for you, you got mini burry. A song.
It's not the mini burrito song, but
from a show. Does that mean that you saw the show for the first time this year?
No.
How is this song on your list? You heard it not before this year?
I've never heard the song before this year, I don't think.
So you had watched... Is it in the show that you had watched? So you hadn't seen that episode until this year?
No, the season of the show came out this year.
Okay.
And in that season, there is this song.
What?
It's just really obvious to me. I know that you don't know what it is.
Well, you said Umbrella Academy. Did Umbrella Academy come out this year?
It's not Umbrella Academy. It did come out this year, though.
A show
that was one of my runner-ups.
It came out this year.
But we'll get to that.
The song in it came out this year. Dragon Prince, the new season came out this year. Is it from that?
No.
There's not really any kind of song like that.
You're so close.
Really? It's Netflix?
It's all Netflix.
It's all
Netflix.
Netflix.
The Netflixest show you've ever seen.
Stranger Things. It's fucking running up that hill.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know that it's super basic to pick that.
No, that's really good.
But that song is really, really good. And I love that it was kind of revived from obscurity.
Yeah.
And that it became a cultural phenomenon overnight. That all of a sudden everybody was like, this is the song. This one right here. We're going to listen to this twice a day for 6 months. And
I'm not sick of it.
I'm not sick of it either. And I'm sure there will be people that disagree, but like I could hear that song every day for the rest of my life and I don't think I'd get sick of it. And I think that's
weird. I've never had a song like that because
I've had lots of songs that I really like that I do get sick of.
That's what I mean.
There are also songs that I hear only a little bit every once in a while and never get sick of.
Yeah, but like I guess like I'll hear a song. I listen to the radio in my car. People don't do that anymore.
No, I don't do that.
But I do.
I don't like ads.
Yeah, I understand that. But I get ads either way because I'm either listening. This isn't the conversation. The conversation is I'm listening to the radio, and so you get those like new song is hot on the mix, and it's going to be played all the time. And so I'll hear a song I really, really fucking like. And then by the end of like a month, I'm like, you got to stop killing this song, please. And I heard Running Up That Hill. Is that the name of the song?
Running Up That Hill, I believe.
I heard that song on the way to the haunt season, on the way back from haunt season, at least once every time.
Yeah.
Not sick of it.
It's really...
Never going to be sick of it.
It's
I don't understand
evergreen.
it. Don't understand.
Yeah, and I thought about putting Stranger Things Season 4 on the list because I was like, that's the best season since season 1.
Yeah.
And I had a blast watching it, and it was also kind of a cultural phenomenon in its own right.
Yep.
You know, everybody's kind of talking about it, and they did it like mid-season break or whatever, and I only started watching when they came out with the last bit.
Yeah,
so I got to see it all at once, but after hearing all the hype about it, was really cool.
That was the best thing they could have done for that show is the mid-season break, because it kept people talking about it for longer than a day.
Right. And now it's 2 days instead.
Well, not even. Well, was it only 2 day break?
No, I'm saying like there's the day that the first half of the season came out, people talk about it, and then the day that the second half of the season comes out, people talk about it.
I disagree because them knowing the date the next one's coming out, like I was hearing about Stranger Things every day from when part 1 came out to the end of when part 2 came out.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But then once that's over, it's over.
Sure.
Except for the song. But like people were predicting what was going to happen in the last 2 episodes. My favorite character better not fucking die, you know, and then probably did.
Yep. Yeah, so Stranger Things Season 4 only didn't make it because I wanted a song on my list. I wanted to kind of do a variety of stuff.
I mean, there's literally just too much, and we'll talk about some of the things that really briefly. So that means, if we're going over to me, that means number 1, so that means honorable mentions.
Do all your honorable mentions.
Yeah, let me talk a little bit about Gumbo.
Let me talk a little bit about Gumbo.
More Gumbo, yeah. Some movies that would have gone on the list that almost made it. Promising Young Woman I saw this year for the first time. Incredible movie.
I like that movie a lot.
Incredible movie. Greatest beer run ever.
What is that? Have we talked about this?
A little bit, yes. It is a movie that I watched this year. It didn't come out this year, but I watched it this year starring Zac Efron. And it's based on a true story about a guy during the Vietnam War who, to support the troops and his friends who were in the army, he, on his own, went to Vietnam to hand deliver PBRs to them and have a drink with them.
That's cool.
And this is a story that really happened, and I really thought it was just going to be like a fun little movie, and it had a lot to say about war and you know, Zac Efron going in like, oh, this is going to be great, and coming out like, I don't even know who the good guys are in the war.
Oh yeah.
You know, and I was like, damn, this had a lot more than I expected, and so I was pleasantly surprised by that movie, and so it sticks in my head.
That's cool.
Another internet thing that really, I don't know why it's not on the list, but it should. Yeah, but The Hole.
I almost put Hole on
The
there.
Hole, which is a video from the Internet Historian. If
Great
you haven't
channel.
seen, yeah, The Whole channel is fantastic, and then this one.
It's not a channel about holes.
No, it's not. No,
it's a really good YouTube channel that just talks about Shia LaBeouf in holes.
yeah. Sometimes I'll talk about Zero, but like that's
yeah. You must carry Madame Zeroni up the mountain.
I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
Tell me about Hole.
The Hole.
Describe what makes it so
I
interesting.
will say that so Internet Historians' videos usually are truly what it is. It's a moment of history that took place on the internet and talking about like everything, and it's funny but also very informative. And this story he tells is an hour long, takes place before the internet. It's kind of like the first viral piece of history that everyone was aware of, but it was through the newspaper. And it's about a guy who got stuck in a hole, and he was in there for a real long time. And like the people that tried to help, the people, like just the whole story about it. And watching it, it felt like I was just watching a thriller.
Yeah, it's I believe it was in the 1930s.
Mm-hmm.
And when Jason says that this guy was stuck in a hole, he was like stuck like
between two rocks, way deep,
like wedged deep into a hole that you could only get to by like putting your arms to your side and like inching a little bit at a time with your feet. And he's like deep in a cave.
Yeah. So it was
basically, and the start of the video talks about this. Basically, every like professional spelunker looked at the hole and said, "There's no way I'm going in there."
And he was like going in for treasure. Like he was
this dude was in there all the time.
Yeah.
It was like a thing that he did, and the only reason that they discovered that he was in there is because his like brother or friend or something like traveled back home to their farm or whatever and went to find this guy who was missing for days.
Mm-hmm. And even
it's
like
crazy.
getting that far in the cave to find him, most people couldn't do. There was like a point in the cave that they were like, this was the either you keep going or people get sent back. And it really felt like I was actually just watching a movie, like a thriller movie, and it was incredible. And I was on the edge of my seat, man.
Yeah, and I almost put it on the list not because I loved the video, which I did. I almost put it on the list because I had nightmares about it. And that doesn't happen to me usually. I don't like scary movies don't do it for me. I usually don't get nightmares in general based on like real things that I like real fears. Usually my nightmares are just wacky, but this was something that I like it was like haunted me.
Yeah.
Because it is so just the feeling of helplessness is greater than anything I've ever experienced. Just hearing about how helpless this situation felt.
Yeah. And there's just
haunted me.
Some of the twists and turns of the story takes is just like, wow, that just gave me a chill, you know?
Internet historian, Hole.
Yeah.
Which I think is the name of the video, right? That's not just
it's either Hole or
that's
the
thumbnail.
Hole. I forget what
the
it is.
thumbnail just says Hole.
Yeah, I think it might be the Hole then.
Yeah.
Who knows? But it's easy to find. You'll just fantastic. Couple more real quick. Dragon Prince, first time I watched it this year.
That was my honorable mentions as well. Dragon Prince season 4 for me.
Just shout out to Mike Call for showing me Little Misfortune.
What is that?
It's a video game that it was like, I think it's like a German-made video game. It's really weird, there's like a creepy element, even though it never gets fully creepy, and funny. And it's just about this little German girl who's like going on this side-scrolling adventure, and she's like always like, yikes forever. And just like, it's just great lines.
Is it actually a good game?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the game.
Does it have like a hand-painted background or something? I feel like I've seen something
like that. It was definitely it kind of gives like a Tim Burton-esque vibe to it.
Okay, yeah, I think I have seen this.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun, and
cool.
and it's like you just sit down, you play it, and you're done. Like I finished it in one sitting. I played it with Dan and Mike together. Good game. And then a shout out to Dan, MetaZoo.
Oh yeah, MetaZoo's cool.
Finally,
I haven't even played it yet. I love the concept.
Finally
of it,
making me like by buying it and putting it in my possession.
It's a card game.
It's a card game.
It's a trading card game,
and it's all about cryptids and all that weird shit that I love. And I always saw it at the store and was like, "That's cool," but I collect Pokemon cards. I can't afford to keep getting involved in this. And he was
not
like,
only that, but the last cryptid game you bought was not about cryptids.
That's true. Yeah, it was.
So you've been burned before.
Wait, which one are you talking about?
The one where you have to like find it's two
I didn't
spaces
buy that,
from the
though.
blue
That's
one.
not my game.
Oh, okay, then you're fine.
Yeah, that was Dan's game, and I enjoyed the game.
The game's fine. It's just
and
not
I
about
won the
cryptids.
game. It's just not about cryptids. Yeah,
But-
but this game is
Tier Zoo, Eco Zoo. What's it called?
MetaZoo.
MetaZoo.
MetaZoo is a trading card game with like cards like Bigfoot and aliens and all this stuff, and it also has like cards will have effects that have to do with the outside world. So like I have like an alien card that's like if you flash a flashlight on this card, you can do 20 more damage.
Yeah, and like whether it's snowing outside or not affects the game.
And there are cards in the game that you can also put weather out if you can't get it to happen for real. You can like try to make it happen on the board.
It's great.
But then
it's such a cool concept.
Yeah, if it's happening outside, or like it'll be like if you are within 5 miles of a desert this, or just really cool stuff like that. And that's goofy and fun. So then we'll go finally to my number one.
Number one. Wait, I don't get to do my honorable mentions next? Yeah, you go ahead.
Yeah, let's do
Go ahead with your little number one.
Then we'll do your honorables to your number one.
Fine.
My number one is a tie. It's two because
it's a really nice tie.
Two movies.
You bought a tie, and it's your favorite tie.
Yeah, it's two movies that from the same director, and
Red
I watched
and blue
them.
Version.
Yeah.
Okay.
Two movies from the same director, and I watched them back to back.
Oh.
And that is The Dirties and Operation Avalanche.
Okay, I'll allow it.
Yeah.
You have to pick one, though.
Operation Avalanche is better.
Okay. Sean and I watched The Dirties together, and afterwards, for like a week, we were like, I'm still thinking about it.
It's haunting.
It still is on my mind every day for like 7 days after that movie because it was so... do you want to talk about what it's about?
Yeah,
The Dirties?
so The Dirties is kind of a look inside the mentality of like the Columbine shooters. Not specifically them, but like a story based on that type of moment in history and those type of people specifically.
Yeah, but there's kind of a twist in that it's kind of filmed from... It's like if you were a school shooter and a filmmaker, here's the film you would make. And that's what it is.
But that's also the thing is that the Columbine kids made videos like we do. You know what I mean? Like from high school, they would make skits and stuff like that. And they would do the thing like in this movie, they do a little skit of them like recreating a scene from Pulp Fiction, in the hallway or whatever. And that's something they did. The Columbine kids did.
I did not know that.
Yeah, they did stuff like that. And so it's like filmmaker in high school, also bullied, and then like that type of mentality and following that story, and it's shot like a mockumentary, kind of like it's more or even more found footage, I would say, because it's from his perspective, and it's incredible. It's haunting. It's funny, even like there's funny bits to it, and that's what really it's not scripted. It's like. That's Matt Johnson's style, the guy who did Nirvana, the band, the show, which we've recommended
countless times, is just like playing themselves. He likes that they play themselves kind of, so that way everything that they're recording and using can be used to tell the story in the editing room. And it's genius. It's a genius way to make movies.
Yes. And that's why these two movies stood out, because they also, once I'm done watching them, they inspire me. They're like, I have to go make right now. I have to go create.
Not to shoot up a school.
No, they don't inspire me to shoot up a school. They inspire me to film a school shooting.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Finally, someone says what we're all thinking.
But also, like, that is a topic that is very important, that we just kind of like, every time it happens, it's kind of like, well, that happened, you know what I mean? Like, but no one's actually really talking about it. It needs to be more and more important. And the only reason why I like Operation Avalanche more is because I can enjoy it without the heaviness.
Yeah, talk about Operation Avalanche.
Operation Avalanche is a period piece, which is awesome. Filmed in the same way, about some, what were they, NSA or CIA?
I think there's maybe CIA or FBI.
Yeah, CIA, I think. It's some CIA agents that infiltrate undercover. They go into NASA to figure out if there's a Russian spy in NASA, because it's during the time of trying to get to the moon landing.
During the space race, yeah.
During the space race. And then, I don't know what else I'd want to say about it. Just like them film, they filmed it actually in NASA without NASA's permission.
Yes.
They told NASA, we're going to film a documentary about the space race back then. Can we come in and film? And they're like, sure. And then they made a movie.
And they made a script, not scripted, but they made
a narrative film.
A narrative film about
sneaking into NASA undercover.
Yeah. It's not meta. It's just that's how Matt Johnson films, is he is himself.
Yes.
He
so
goes
the nervousness is real.
Yeah, and that's part of it. That's not just an observation. Like, he's talked about how he's like, if you want to get actors that pretend to be like, that look like they're genuinely nervous, you just get people who are not actors to go do things and be nervous.
Yeah.
Like, And it's just, you can't not get the most genuine reaction.
Yeah.
It works better than you think it does.
Yes.
Like it's hard to explain, but
it's
it really
incredible.
works.
Yeah. And that's the same mentality on Nirvana the band, is like getting people that don't know they're really in a show's reaction to further the plot, you know, because it feels like when you're explaining something like that, it feels like I'm explaining a Borat, which is, I mean, it's similar, but not the same thing.
Yeah. Borat and Jackass.
That still feels like a prank show almost. Like, yeah, it's a like wink to the camera.
That's the thing. The joke in Borat is that the people are being lied to about this guy. Oh, he's not really who he says he is, and they're not really, you know, you're trying to get a reaction like, oh yeah, I'm from another country and this is what we believe. And it's like, wow, I'm shocked that you believe that. That's the joke, right? That's Borat.
Right.
Which is fine. I actually like Borat, and I like the second Borat a lot.
Yeah.
But the way that Matt Johnson does it is like, we are just going to, like, the other people are just in it for a second and they drive the plot.
Yeah, we're going to make a movie and we're not going to shut down a city street if we're going to film in the city street.
If they're going to film in the city street, they're filming in the city street. They really are there.
Yeah, and if something happens that just so happens to happen and they want to make the story go that way now, that's gonna what it's going to be. You know,
awesome.
And then they'll maybe go out and refilm stuff that make more sense in the story, restructure what they're doing.
Yeah, they will change the story or film things out of order so that way they can use the genuine stuff that they get from people on the street. And that changes the narrative.
I would almost say that my number one consumable is that style. I was introduced to that style this year, and it's really inspired a lot of the way I'm thinking about filmmaking these days. And it just, I don't know, it's just something very new and exciting. Yeah,
and that's a really cool. It's really cool to be open up to new ways of doing things, especially with like filmmaking, something that we're interested in, and writing.
Yes, which is the Maggie Mae Fish has a part of that too, introducing the idea of like the hero's journey is not the end all be all. There's more things to study and learn. That's part of that same feeling. Yeah, and that's a new way to do things. Yeah, like both of those are like challenging what we think of as what we think film can be, or what we think stories can be. Because really, it's crazy that it's this man-made thing that we've just made, and a lot of people feel there are rules to it. And that's like, one of the things that I say all the time, and I don't hold myself to it, but I say it all the time, which is there are no rules. There are no rules. There really aren't. Mm-hmm. And I have to tell myself that, because I'm always like, what's the right way to do this? Yeah. Where does this story want to go? And I think that's helpful a lot of times. But then at the same time, I have trouble reining that in. And so I have to remind myself that there are no rules. Right. The rules are tools, not rules. Another thing, and this is kind of a tangent, I guess, off of that, but when we started doing our improv movies, that was this year. And that is a style that we kind of used. That is a style that we took a little bit from Joel Haver, a little bit from Matt Johnson. And then our own little thing. Our own stuff. And I really like the format. And mostly leaving actors breaking in the video. We're really is marrying the film and the gag reel. It's one thing. Yeah. And I don't know why it's working. It's working though. It's awesome. It's weird how much it works. If you haven't, this is going to be a bit of a self-promotion. Yeah. But check out our improv movies. There's a playlist on the channel. You know, youtube.com/Professor Productions. If you're not already watching this video on there, if you're listening to the audio podcast, yeah, check out our YouTube channel. That's where we put all our stuff. And check out the improv movie playlist, because you'll see what we're talking about. It's a very different style, and we don't really think anybody else is doing something exactly like it. No, but if you are, send it to us. Oh yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah, I'd love to see more. Yeah, because that'd be so cool to find like-minded people in that way. And yeah, entirely improvised movies, and the way that we edit it together is we're okay with leaving in breaks and doing another take on camera and leaving that in, and just and kind of seeing the making of, seeing the threads between each little clip, and then yet the narrative still is engaging. Yeah, it's almost like you're watching a making of and the movie at the same time. Mm-hmm. And that's a lot of fun. And that's when we're making it, that's how it feels. We're acting, but we're also talking about what the heck's going to happen next, because we don't know. Yeah, like when you were saying you were editing and you were editing the Matty Crickets thing and saying like, I used Dan explaining what we're going to do next as the line because it was better than the line.
Yeah, there's a line in the most recent improv movie, the Matty Crickets Christmas Special, where
Sponsored by Wendy's.
Yeah, sponsored asterisk by Wendy's asterisk. There's a line where Dan is like, okay, first we got to do this, and then we got to go over here, and then we're going to get filthy rich. And then you guys did the take of it, and I was like, Dan explaining it was such good delivery that I used that instead.
And it works.
Great.
It's awesome.
And I'm glad we didn't turn the camera off for that because one of the cameras was off and the other one was just filming Dan.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is great. It's a great shot too.
It is. It's a good shot.
It's very close up. I love a close up. I love an extreme close up.
Yes, you do. You know, it is fun seeing that everyone involved in these projects have styles they like as well. Like you really like close ups. Dan loves a tilted shot. He loves to do a tilted shot. I love a tilted shot too. But I just mean like he'll any chance he can get, he's like, we're tilting this one. Can we tilt this one?
That's great.
You know, and it's like, that's so fun.
The canted angle.
Mm-hmm.
I love having some kind of tilted shot because when I learned about it,
film studies.
I would have thought that would look terrible. But then I realized, like, you see it all the time in movies and it looks fine.
Yeah.
You don't realize that you're filming something on a 45-degree angle.
What's like the fancy name for that shot?
Canted.
There's another one that like feels like maybe the name of the person that did it or something.
Yeah.
Chekhov's tilt.
Yeah.
That was it. And you can quote us on that one.
Hitchcock-eyed.
I like that.
Hey, Google. What do you call a canted angle in film?
On the website masterclass.com, they say Dutch angle.
Dutch angle. Hey, Google, stop. Thank you. I think.
That's what Dan always calls it, too. He's like,
a Dutch
a
angle.
little bit of Dutch. Let's go with Dutch. Yes, okay, so I'm done with my list.
Okay, you ready for mine?
It's your turn.
My honorable mentions.
Honorable mentions.
We had... Stranger Things season 4, we already talked about that. I have Umbrella Academy season 2 and 3 because I actually had watched the first season a long time ago.
Yeah.
Loved it. And then when season 2 came out, I just never got around to watching it. So I was like, season 3 coming out, I'll rewatch it all again. So I rewatched the whole thing. And I really liked it.
Yeah, season 2 might be my favorite season.
It's good.
Yeah.
Tuca and Birdie season 1.
Oh yeah, you were telling me about that.
Yeah, so Tuca and Birdie, the first time I tried watching it, I didn't like it. I was like one episode of it, and I was like, I don't really like this. It's like, it's from the same artist as BoJack, and they, like, people are animals and stuff, but it's a little different. It's like a different universe, but it's still kind of that same thread. And it's just about these two girls who are, like, kind of opposites, and they're best friends, and it's very girly. And so when I like first watched it, I didn't realize that was what it was going to be. And that's not a problem. That's actually something that I kind of like in shows sometimes. Mm-hmm. But I like didn't get it at first. And it's like really extra raunchy. It's like a lot of swearing and like some nudity and stuff. And so I was like, maybe this isn't for me. And then I gave it another shot. And I loved it. I was like, this is actually great. And they kind of do the BoJack thing where they take on some serious topics, but in a much more lighthearted way. And it really does a good job of analyzing like a real friendship between people. And I really liked it.
That is interesting.
It's really good.
And there's only one season, or have you only watched one?
It is a Netflix original, season 1, but season 2 is like an Amazon original. So they went to a different network. So I'm assuming that that Netflix didn't renew them and they took it somewhere else. I'm not really sure.
But is it all on Amazon now?
No. One's on one and one's on the other.
If that's on your honorable mentions, I got to watch that now.
Yeah, I recommend it. The other one, I didn't put this on because I needed to cut stuff, but also because I think I finished this. It's a season of a TV show, and I think I finished it this year, like in January. So it doesn't really count as 2022.
I don't know what you've been watching very recently.
Doctor Who.
Oh, the newest season that's right. You were like, not the newest season, but the newest season for you.
Right. So I basically, this is New Who, obviously. This is not classic Doctor Who, but the Doctor Who season 9, essentially what we have is I love David Tennant. And then as soon as Matt Smith came about, I was like, I'm not really liking this very much. So the first 2 seasons of the Matt Smith, I'm like, don't really care about it. The third season with Matt Smith, halfway through it, I believe, we get a new companion, and I love her. She's awesome. She makes all the rest of it okay, and I think that they finally hit a stride where they figured out how to write Matt Smith halfway through his last season. And then he's gone. And I was like, well, okay, that kind of stinks. And then we get this new Dr. Peter Capaldi, and I just don't like him with that companion. Was Clara. Is
The one
companion.
that you liked before,
Yeah.
they just don't match well.
I like her, and I like Peter Capaldi, but there was something about those episodes where they were together where I just was not excited to watch the show. Episode to episode, I'd be like, this is a slog. I'm not really feeling it, but I made it through. And the first 2 seasons of Peter Capaldi, I felt that way. But then as soon as we hit the third season and final season of Peter Capaldi, we got a new companion. And I just think that the writing was better. Him as a doctor, I think, was way better. And this companion was way better. All of these things, I was like, I love everything about this. This is now my favorite season since
Tenet.
the first 4, really season 2, 3, and 4, which is all David Tennant seasons. This is like my favorite season. And it is not impossible that I could probably go back and maybe even put this over one of the David Tennant seasons because I loved it that much.
Wow.
There were so many episodes that I really genuinely liked.
And was this his last season that you finally liked him again?
Yep.
That sucks.
It's like the same thing with Matt Smith.
Yeah.
I started liking him halfway through the last season. The next one is a pizza I ate.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of it, but it's the one that you had at Steph's.
Yeah, so Steph and I wanted to get pizza. And so we went to this place that's around the corner from her house. So we walked over there and got this pizza. And I was like, that sounds like it'd be pretty good. It's like kind of like a New York style pizza. And it has pepperoni, ricotta, and then like a drizzle of spicy honey and fresh basil. And this pizza was so good. I couldn't get enough of it. I was like, this pizza's incredible. I had like a leftover slice.
Then you had it another night in a row, right?
Well, spoilers. So
Trying to be part of the conversation instead.
Nobody wants you to talk.
It.
Nobody wants you to talk. Don't really. I had an extra slice of it, and then it was like 2 a.m, and I couldn't sleep. And I was just thinking about that pizza. So I just went and I ate it cold. It was still delicious. And then the next day, I was going to take the train home, and I was like, what do you want to do for breakfast? I was like, I need that pizza. I need another one because I know that I'm going to come home, take the train, and then I'm not going to be able to come up there for at least another week. I got to get my fill. So I went and I got another pizza. It's the same thing that we had the night before. We had it for breakfast. It was like lunch, but it was so good.
Have you had any more since?
No.
Oh, so only the 2 times.
Pretty much, yeah. Haven't really been able to get up there much because of the
You're gonna
issues
have
with her
to get
apartment.
one on the way home and bring it here. So
Okay.
I can have some.
I could do
sometime.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
It is a little spicy.
That's okay.
And it's got honey on it, so it's sugary.
Yeah, I want to try it.
Okay.
And either way.
Another one, Pinocchio. Pinocchio.
That was this year?
I think so, yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, because it was in... I didn't put the month down. Yeah, the Pauly Shore voiced Russian animated Pinocchio. It's so bad.
You know what? Underrated. How bad it is in a good way, and like I'm thinking about it all the time. I quote it, so like yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to stand the test of time as a great bad movie. The animation is so shoddy.
It's just weird.
It's like sometimes weirdly robotic, and then other times it's like it like doesn't know what it wants to be. If it wants to be realistic,
half the time
or
he's a real
cartoony.
boy, and half the time he's not. John.
Oh, that's what it is. It's like sometimes it tries to be cartoony, but then at the same time they're kind of trying to make it look nice, like it's real, and it just doesn't work.
So long, Butterface. A real line in the fucking movie.
Yeah, so long, Butterface.
Mamma mia.
Terrible movie. And then like I think a lot of the issues stem from them trying to match the Russian mouth movements to English words.
Oh, I mean that's just gonna be any foreign film.
Right.
And not to say like this isn't a movie to trash on. This is we liked it because of how bad it. Like we
Yeah, it was
like
great.
watching bad movies.
Right.
You know, so like
It was bad, but it was super entertaining, and movies are
I'll
there
watch
to
it
entertain
again.
us. Yeah.
In fact, I probably would rate it better now than when I first watched it. I don't remember what the rating I gave it was. We have a rating system, complicated one, but it works.
That's it.
Good.
We got to get Mike and Dan on the podcast. You got to go through all the movies.
Oh yeah,
That's a podcast.
Yes,
One
that's
future
good.
episode of the podcast. Go through the bad movie spreadsheet.
yes.
That's going to be great. That's going to be great. Dragon Prince season 4. We already talked about that. I was like, DP shit. What does that say? And it says DP SSN 4, but it looked like it said DP shit.
Shit.
I can't read my own handwriting.
For me, weakest season of the show. Not a bad season, just the weakest season.
It was one of my favorites, I think.
Well, that's because you're stupid.
The second or third episode, whatever the one is where there's a fight scene where Ezrin is
that's
giving
really
a speech
good,
at the same time and they're cutting back and forth.
Yeah,
That's, I think, my favorite episode of the show.
that is really good.
So,
I think-
I
I think-
loved Viren in this season. Like, the way that they handled his character was so cool. And I also liked the new trans character that they introduced. They handled that really well.
What do you? Who?
The Claudia's boyfriend.
He's trans?
Yeah.
Why would I know that?
I just thought it was obvious.
Well, what about him is that? Or
Well,
them?
there's a trans flag. He grows a flower that's the colors of the trans
Oh
flag.
shit,
And then the actor is trans,
that's cool.
the voice actor, and they have confirmed it. The voice actor has confirmed it that they are trans.
But what does
the
trans
character is
mean
trans.
in that universe for like what? I don't understand that.
I think that they said that he's mid-transition.
That whole season is just a season that I feel that was cut in half.
That needed more time.
Yeah, because like I felt like it was cut off at the knees there at the end. I was like, that's it. The other seasons felt like full arcs, and this one felt like half of an arc.
I also felt that.
And that type of thing just reads like a Dumbledore's gay. Like I need
think
more.
that we haven't seen it,
yeah,
the whole transition yet.
I hope there's more.
I'm gonna add another show on here as an honorable mention. It's a terrible show, but I loved it, which is The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina.
Yeah, that's right.
Terrible show, and I ate it up. I loved it so much. I think that there's so many cool things about it, but it's just like, it's just dumb. There's so many cringy lines, and there's so much of it that is like, that's really what you're going to choose to do with this. But then at the same time, I really like the magic system. I like the world building. I thought it was really interesting. And then they do the dumbest thing I've ever seen in a TV show in the last season, which I'm not going to tell you about because I want you to watch it. I don't know if you ever will, but you're just not going to know if that's true. But if you've seen that show, you know that they do the dumbest arc ever. And I can't believe that they committed to it. I thought that they were going to do just a bit for one episode, and then we get several episodes where they're stuck in this other dimension doing this stupid bit.
I'm gonna watch the first episode tonight.
So, my number one.
Say it. Wait, do I guess it?
You can. I don't know yet. You haven't tried.
Do I get anything to go off of?
It's a movie.
It's a movie you watched this year.
Nope. I watched it last year, which is what this
sorry.
whole podcast is about.
Fuck.
Stupid.
God damn it.
Sexy, stupid, dumb, pretty idiot.
I feel better now.
It's a movie, and it did not come out this year. It did not come out in 2022, but I saw it in 2022.
Knives Out?
Knives Out. And I think that one of the reasons that I loved it so much is because I loved Glass Onion so much.
Yeah.
And seeing
Well, I
Glass
couldn't
Onion
put that
now,
on the
it's
list,
fresh
yeah.
in my mind, and I'm like, yeah. I know that Glass Onion was not as well received as Knives Out, though people still liked it. I like Glass Onion even more.
Me too, I think. But
It's
they're just so
interesting.
different. Even though they're both so similar, they're both so different.
And that I think
I love that.
everything I've ever seen Ryan Johnson do, it's different.
Mhm.
He's like, I don't care. I'm just doing a new thing.
Yep.
And I love that.
Yeah.
I love it so much. It's so good. The mystery part of it was awesome. The way that it subverted tropes was awesome. And the most fascinating and interesting thing about this movie for me was that you know the answer, but you don't know all of it. There still are other things, and like halfway through the movie, and this is true of Glass Onion and Knives Out, halfway through the movie, you're like, this is the big reveal, and there's an hour left, and there's still more stuff to reveal, and you don't even know it yet.
Yeah.
And you're like, I didn't even know that was something that could be revealed. Like, this is just, it unfolds more and more, and they just take you on this journey, and it's not like, it's not 80 minutes of setup, and then you find out the answer, and that's the end of the movie. It's like, that's not the mystery. It's like you get some of the mystery sprinkled in the whole way, and it keeps you engaged because you're like, ooh, that's new information. Oh, that's it. That's the twist. And you're like, nope, there's more twists. Ooh, that's more information. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, you were going to see it again from that angle. And the way that they do the different perspectives of the characters is the film lies to you a little bit, because you will see shots from one character's point of view and then see the same shot again later, and it's a little different. And it's done with multiple times. And they do it a little bit in both movies, at least. They do a lot more in Knives Out, but they do it in Glass Onion as well.
This is so good.
They give you all the pieces there, and then they also give you new information that recontextualizes things, but is still, it's not like unfair. It's not like, you didn't tell me that, so I couldn't have possibly solved it.
Right.
It's like, no, this is just additional information, and like almost like multiple mysteries interwoven throughout the narrative.
Yeah.
Beautiful film. Just absolutely makes me want to watch more mystery movies, but I know that they're not going to be like that.
Yeah, but we can...
But it makes me more interested in the genre.
Find them, for sure.
I think that even... I'm going to say it right now. I think that with Knives Out and Glass Onion, we're going to see more mysteries in the next, 2-3 years. I think it's going to be a resurgence. In the same way that we had superheroes as a thing, I think that mysteries are going to be a thing.
That would be very cool.
I'm probably wrong, but I think that just because of those movies.
That would be interesting.
Because Glass Onion proves we can do it again, which means that other people can now do it.
But you know what we're not seeing a lot of other people doing is like black-centric horror films, something that you could have guessed because of Jordan Peele's 3 movies. Now he's at 3, and no one else. It's like he has the cred that you can throw the money at it and you can guarantee that, but like anyone else trying that, the money isn't guaranteed still. So it's like scary to fund.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think maybe like the interest will be there, but I think we're just at this point where they're just too afraid to make the big risks, you know. Maybe they'll give a director with a really good like with a big name already a chance to make a mystery. That could be interesting.
Maybe the reason that we haven't seen a lot of black-centric horror films is racism. Like maybe that's just not going to catch on because people just don't want to do it, don't want to give black creators money to make black-centric films.
Yeah, but that is also inherently just a money thing too. Like it's always going to be wrapped up in class and money and racism.
True.
You know, but it's like, so it's like, if a director that's already a big name wants to do a mystery, maybe that'll have like more traction, but you already don't have a lot of black directors that have big names besides Jordan Peele that is doing that thing. So it's like, that's even more of a stranglehold. You're right.
Yeah.
But I hope, and I know that we'll see more Knives Out stuff. Like,
oh yeah, of course.
That, like you said, it was like the next Sherlock Holmes. Like we're just going to get that now.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that like, there's going to be 50 years from now or whatever, you're going to look back and be like, oh, it's like it's like a LeBlanc mystery. It's like that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. I love that
I'm excited
has
for.
Also
I'm
played 007, and now he's playing this guy, you know.
Yeah, iconic roles.
Yeah.
Huge. It's going to be great. And I wonder if we will get to a point where it's played by other actors.
That'll be interesting.
The characters played by other actors.
Could be very interesting.
It's a cool character.
Yeah. It is very subtle, very fun, very kind.
He's very kind, and it's so refreshing. It is a very non-toxic masculinity.
Yes,
is what it is. Is that you see this guy and you're like, he's just a nice older gentleman.
Yeah, it's wholesome nice badassery.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to the audience.
Let's do it. Hello, audience.
They're not saying nothing. So these are comments. Okay, so our last episode
was a question for the last one.
What kind of favorite like special episode or like holiday episode
Yeah, like
is your favorite?
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
So like Christmas episodes or Halloween episodes or whatever. Will Hargreaves says, "The Blackadder Christmas Carol will forever be the best Christmas special. Solid adaptation / perversion of the tale, classic bladders exchanges, and I can no longer hear God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen without thinking Piggy Wiggy Woo."
None of that makes sense to me.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I can't believe I haven't looked that up. I've seen the comment, and I haven't looked up what that is.
You don't know what Blackadder is?
No.
All I know is that it's a what's his name? Rowan Atkinson, Mr. Bean.
Oh,
It's a Rowan Atkinson show.
UK show?
The British show, yeah. Yeah, Blackadder. I believe he's like a friar in the Middle Ages or something like that. But I could be wrong.
Oh, I have seen like him with like the
bowl cut.
Yeah, and the coat, like the over the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a show that I've wanted to watch but have not watched any of it. Jake Jarvie says, "Halloween episodes are the best.
Agreed.
Community had some of the best Halloween episodes." Also true. "I remember always looking forward to Roseanne Halloween eps when I was a kid because Darlene was hardcore. Two of my favorite Christmas episodes are the Christmas lunch episode of Vicar and Dibley and the Bracebridge dinner episode of Gilmore Girls. I really like this podcast."
Love it. Thank you for the compliment, Jake.
Thanks,
I
buddy.
have since watched a little bit of The Vicar.
No way.
Yeah, because
we talked about it.
What's that?
We talked about it.
Yeah, and so and you were
the
telling me
Vicar
that
of
it's like
Dibley.
I think overall it was like 31 episodes in however is like currently however many
over like
years.
20 years or
Yeah.
30 years or something.
Yeah, they just like we'll just make a season of 4 episodes and then you won't hear from them for a couple of years and then they'll be like, here's a special, and then a couple of years later here's 6 episode season, and then
That's wild.
and now then they did like the COVID lockdown videos. I watched a couple of those.
Good?
Really good, because I was like, it was the first one I had watched and I was like, I don't know what this is.
The lockdown one?
Yeah, I watched one lockdown one and I didn't know what it and the description was that they were going to talk about some of the Black Lives Matter stuff, and I was like, this main character is this very like not very but like an older white woman. This is the UK. What is this going to be? And I was very pleasantly surprised about it just being very openly like, hey, Black Lives Matter, you know, and being like, as a whatever, like I do believe that all lives matter, but until all lives matter equally,
Sure.
let's talk about the lives
ones
that
that are
and so I was like,
mattering less.
they really said something really nice there. But then I watched some of like the clips of the Christmas one that he talked about. It seemed pretty good.
That's
It
cool.
was funny.
Yeah, I have seen bits and pieces of Gilmore Girls because Steph was watching it, and I don't know anything about that episode. But there's something that bugs me about Gilmore Girls, and it's that they talk too fast.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's just, yeah.
Like Steph pointed it out to me. She's like, yeah, on this show they talk really fast. And now it's so distracting because the conversations feel so inauthentic, because as soon as somebody's done with their line, the next line starts immediately. Like it's so fast, and they cram a lot of dialogue into every episode that way. But it feels unnatural to me. And as I've seen an episode here or there, I can like kind of get over it a little bit. I feel like if maybe I watched the whole show, I'd be able to get over it. But there still are times where I'm like, wow, you're going so fast. You're responding to each other at unrealistic speeds, and it just feels unnatural to me.
There are people that talk like that, especially like I've seen that with a mother-daughter relationship like that, that's the one I'm thinking, right? Gilmore Girls is so like I wonder if that comes from a very real place from the creator.
It could. Yeah, I would not be surprised. It feels really off-putting to me, but that could be just because that's a real thing.
Because it's
and
just
it's not my experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. Before we move on from that comment,
Yes.
here's an honorable mention of something that we've consumed.
Okay.
The spoiler heavy trailer to Haunt season.
I thought about putting that on my list too. Oh my God. That was amazing. So talk about it a little bit, because on Professor Productions and on the podcast, we have not talked about Haunt season that much.
Yeah. Okay. So the reason why we're bringing it up right now, the comment from Jake Jarvie, he is a director who's making or just finished filming.
Esteemed award-winning director Jake Jarvie
just finished filming a horror film called Haunt Season, in which we're extras in. And I was the COVID compliant officer on set for that.
Yeah, Jason was on set almost every single day of filming.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a whole thing.
And I recorded and did a lot of the behind the scenes for it when there's a playlist of the behind the scenes videos on Professor Productions, so you can go to if you want to see that stuff. John's in it too much.
Yes, way too much. Not in every episode though, so you get some breaks.
Yeah, you get some John breaks, thank God. But at the wrap party, we got to see a trailer, very spoiler heavy, so it's not something that I'll ever be seen to the public. But for the cast and crew, we got to see this crazy, awesome trailer and it was like 2 weeks after we had wrapped.
Wrapped shooting, and then immediately there was a trailer set to music that showed all the spoilers because it was like all the coolest parts,
coolest shit in the world.
So it's not a trailer that you would see to like advertise the movie. It was just like a best of.
Yeah.
It was like a best of shots for the movie, and it was incredible.
And
it looks so
excited
cool
to see this movie.
Yeah, and hopefully it'll be out this year.
Next year.
Either this year or next year.
So that's very exciting. So yeah, that's
so cool. Haunt Season.
To say.
Camo Bo says, I recently purchased all 6 seasons of Community on DVD to show it to friends. But if I can't do that, I'll just watch all of them by myself in preparation for the movie.
I think we saw all 6 seasons, put a picture of it in the Discord.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he did. Stephanie Simon says, I'll take a huge scoop of that Nathan Fillion casserole, piping hot.
You and me both.
Me too.
Yeah.
Laser Shark says, Christmas isn't secular. If you celebrate Christmas, but you aren't a devout Christian, you are cringe.
Agreed.
Great comment. That's a great comment.
Cringe.
And then the last comment is from Dan Rogers. Okay, so all those comments came from YouTube. However, if you're listening to the audio podcast, you don't have somewhere to submit your comments.
And that's your fault, stupid idiot.
So, we have an email address that you can send your questions or your answers. I mean, you can send us questions if you want.
You can send us just Q&A questions.
A better place for that's probably just joining the Discord.
And maybe I'll add a channel to the Discord just for podcast questions and answers.
Yes, I think that we're going to do that.
Yeah.
So our question this episode, I think, is going to be obvious.
Favorite 2022 things that you fucked?
Yeah. Favorite things you consumed in 2022, or just your top one?
Yeah.
Top one favorite thing you consumed.
Things that, it didn't have to come out this year, just something that you experienced for the first time this year.
Yeah, we also want to hear what your favorite pizza is.
My favorite pizza was San Fratello's. It's closed now, but it was
closed this year?
Nope. Closed a couple years ago, maybe 5 years now. It was really good. Also, Falco's Pizza. They changed their recipe. It used to be amazing. So all my favorite pizzas are gone.
Is that owned by Edie Falco?
I don't know.
She played the wife on The Sopranos.
Oh, I have no idea. Maybe.
Yeah, she probably owns that pizza joint.
It was right next to my dad's work back in the day, and so if I would go up with him, we'd eat it. If we come back, we'd eat it. I brought friends up there once, and they were like, "Oh, best pizza ever! Let's bring more friends up there." We went over there. New recipe. Sucked. Everything sucked.
Did they actually change the recipe? Was it like announced, or did you just try it and it sucked?
It just sucked, and we've gone back a couple times, and it tastes the same as the new way it tastes, but it doesn't taste the old way. It doesn't even look the same.
You gotta call them and be like, "Give us back Coke Classic pizza,"
and they'll be so confused,
and then hang up.
Yeah.
Then
and
say you have 7 days, and then hang up.
Yeah, because the first time we went and it was bad.
And then stab them if they don't do it right.
The first time they went and it was bad, I thought it was just an off day because I was like, the people working here right now are clearly very high. There's like a couple olives baked into not olives, something else, something like I think it might have been pieces of olive that were like baked into the crust on accident, it seemed. So I was like, this is just off. And then the next couple times I went, I was like, tastes the same. It's just not the same.
That's unfortunate.
It was very bad. So
that's how I felt about this Chinese place over here. I don't want to give them the advertisement. Also, I don't want people to know where I live.
Yeah. Just beep it when I say it.
Yeah.
Like it's some crass thing.
Yeah, it is crass. You're not allowed to speak those words in my house.
Yeah.
Because when I first moved here, that Chinese place was awesome, and I used to get it quite a bit. And then I stopped getting it for a little while and then went back. And every time I got it, I was like, ooh, this is just an off day. No, it just sucks now.
Yeah, because that was the go-to when I was a kid, and I don't like it there either.
I think the first time that I remember it not being good was the Pokemon tournament, like 2 years ago. We did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they have masks there. It was like mid-COVID,
Yeah, it
right?
was.
But they had masks there with the name of the restaurant on it, and I was like, I want to buy one of those. And they're like, well, they're not for sale. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I'm so glad I didn't.
Yeah.
I don't want to advertise for them
fucking
anymore.
stooge.
Because I was like, this is my favorite Chinese place. I want to get a mask that has that on it. It'd be really weird. It's this Chinese restaurant mask.
So every time you walk in, they're like, oh, John, I didn't recognize you, my favorite customer.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, masks.
Yeah, so send an email to our new email address, which we haven't said yet.
Yeah, you can even just send us like death threats. I don't care.
Oh.
You don't want that?
The email address is GaryOakSucks69@gmail.com. So if you want to send in answers to questions and such, go ahead and do it.
Mm-hmm.
But do it to that email. Or just down in the description on the YouTube video
send
if
questions,
you're watching
send
the YouTube
answers,
video.
send nudes, send anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not if you're under 18. I don't want to get in trouble for soliciting nudes from our audience as a whole.
Good call.
Maybe we'll cut that part out.
Yeah, that's a good call. Good call. Feeling good? Feeling like this is the end of an era?
yeah.
This is the end of the whole show, I think. There's only 3 episodes.
Yeah, that's it. That's a good show.
Yep, we did it. We'll see you in the next episode.
GaryOakSucks69@gmail.com.
Yeah.
All right. That's it. Time to be done with this, and let's play video games. Yeah.
We're gonna play Miss 2.
I cut.
But I didn't cut.
It's not Myst 2. It's called Riven, the sequel to Myst.
Why do you get an exclamation point?
Because people are excited about me.
Well, I don't know what they're excited about.
How do I look on there? Beautiful, as always?
Yeah.